Solving cryptograms is so much fun! If you're the type of person who loves puzzles, mysteries, or fun challenges, or if you want to explore collaborative problem solving, then learning how to solve cryptograms is going to change your life. And if you're into puzzle chains or alternate reality games, then you need to learn this skill. Right now, we are going to learn this skill together. I'll break it down into step-by-step directions anyone can follow. Here's the icing on the cake. You don't need to be Einstein, own fancy tech, or be a math whiz to nail this. Tap into your own awesome pattern spotting skills and sprinkle in a little bit of patience, and you'll conquer this challenge like it's no big deal. Now, you might be asking yourself, aren't there computer programs that can crack these type of puzzles in like the blink of an eye? And to be honest, yes. But where is the fun in that? Once you master this skill, you won't need a computer, and it's fun to do by hand, and you will seriously impress your friends. It's much easier and faster than you might think, and it's free. Now, full disclosure, if you master these cryptogram techniques, you'll become the person everyone turns to when they hit a wall. The ARG community desperately needs skilled code breakers who can crack the puzzles that stump everyone else. You'll go from observer to the essential problem solver your team can't live without.
Oh yeah.
And it's so much fun that for this video, I'm setting a challenge for myself with a cryptogram I've never seen before. This puzzle comes from the Gravity Falls Journal 3 book, which is an excellent source for cryptograms.
Cryptograms! Have you seen this mixed up gobbledygook? This again. I can read it, but I don't know what it means.
The show is renowned for its intricate codes and ciphers, which have captivated fans and puzzle enthusiasts alike. Its cryptograms range from simple substitution ciphers to complex multi-layer puzzles, making it perfect for testing and improving code-breaking skills. By the end of this video, you'll also know exactly how to crack this and any cryptogram like it. For my challenge, I'm going to rank myself based on my performance, and I honestly do not know how long it's going to take me. If I can crack it under 30 seconds, I'll consider myself a professional. Solving it within 3 minutes earns me the title of Cipher Savant. Completing it under 5 minutes makes me a code breaker. And anything over 5 minutes, I'm just a novice decoder. I'll be working on my puzzle, but don't worry, I won't subject you to watching me stare at squiggles for who knows how long. I'll be working on my challenge puzzle behind the scenes, and I'll report back with my time and newly minted decoder status later. Who knows, by the time I finish my puzzle, I might have evolved from a puzzle novice to a cryptogram master. So stay tuned for the big reveal. Now let's talk about how to decode cryptograms. A cryptogram is a word puzzle where each letter in the message is swapped out for a different symbol. It's a secret message where you have to figure out which letter each symbol represents. To get started, I use a free tool called GlyphGrid, which makes solving cryptograms by hand much easier. I actually wrote GlyphGrid for you with the Gravity Falls cipher in mind, and it's totally free. No logins, no ads, and everything stays on your computer. It makes solving cryptograms much easier. Now, I couldn't find an existing font, so I created my own, which you can also download from my website and use for free. The only thing that I ask in return is that if you use the tools and fonts on my webpage, please give this video a thumbs up. If you look at all the stuff I've made for you for free, that's a pretty good deal. All right, let's get to decoding. I'm going to break this process into 5 steps. As we begin decoding cryptograms, the first step is guessing the cryptogram type. To figure out the cipher type, examine the symbols and their arrangement. This helps you make an educated guess about what kind of code you're dealing with. For example, a cipher might use numbers, letters, or glyphs. If it's all numbers, we might be dealing with something like binary code if it's just ones and zeros, or a simple code where 1 stands for the letter A, 2 for B, and so on up to 26 for Z. If we see letters, it could be a Caesar cipher where each letter is shifted down the alphabet, or a Visionaire cipher that uses a secret keyword. Sometimes we might see weird symbols or drawings instead of letters. This could be something like the Pigpen cipher, which uses lines and dots, or even something as strange as the Zodiac Killer's messages, which mix up all sorts of symbols. Even fonts like Wingdings, which turn letters into pictures, can be used to make secret codes. The Gravity Falls Book of Bill even has a cipher where letters are replaced by colors. By figuring out what kinds of symbols we're looking at, we can start to guess how the message might have been encoded and how we might crack it. If you want me to look at any of these types of cryptograms, just let me know. For now, I'll be talking about a special type of cryptogram that can use either the English alphabet or glyphs, called an aristocrat, which replaces each letter in the original message with exactly one unique symbol. The clue that we're dealing with an aristocrat is that the spaces and punctuation are left in the message. Now, every cryptogram has a rule that unlocks the secret message, called a key. However, if we don't know what that rule is, then we can try to guess what that key is. The technical term for this process is called cryptanalysis, and you might think that this process is really difficult and requires a computer to perform. However, aristocrats are surprisingly very manageable to crack by hand as long as there's enough text in the message. The spaces and punctuation give us a ton of information we can use to get a big head start. If the message is too short, less than 28 characters, the message could be decoded more than one way. If this is the case, you can only be certain you've decoded it correctly if the author gives you their key. Here's a fun side note. Claude Shannon, the father of information theory, analyzed the English language and determined the minimum length needed to ensure a unique decryption, which he called the unicity distance, was around 28 characters. If you don't have a single message longer than 28 characters, a clever trick is to collect multiple messages you think might be using the same key and use these code-breaking techniques on the whole group of messages. I'll assume that you have a message that's long enough to get a unique solution. For this tutorial, I'll provide an example we can solve together, also taken from Gravity Falls Journal 3. At this point, we want to start making educated guesses about the key, gradually unveiling the hidden message. Think of cracking a cryptogram like solving a puzzle. You start by making smart guesses about what each symbol means. As you figure out more letters, the hidden message slowly comes into view. It's exciting because each correct guess brings you closer to solving the whole thing. Now, sometimes you might guess wrong, and that's totally okay and part of the process. You'll usually notice when something's off because the words you're creating won't make sense in English. When that happens, just backtrack and try a different letter. Don't commit too hard to your first guesses. Try a letter, see if it makes sense, and be ready to change it. In this way, solving cryptograms is a lot like Sudoku. You make guesses, test them, and adjust. The cool part is, the more you practice, the better you'll get at spotting patterns and making accurate guesses. Before you know it, you'll be decoding messages like a pro. Aristocrats give us a cool advantage. We can see where words start and end. This helps a ton, especially with short words. Check it out. One-letter words are the easiest. There are only two in English, A and I. If we think the message is more formal, avoiding personal pronouns, then we can confidently guess the one-letter word is A. If we find the symbol shows up in short words with an apostrophe, it's more likely to be an I. If nothing else, we have a 50-50 shot of guessing the correct letter, so pick one, and if we want to change it later, we can. Next, there are roughly 100 two-letter words in English. A way to narrow down your guesses is to start with common ones like of, to, in, or it. Language experts analyze word frequencies and reveal that these short words pop up frequently in everyday writing and speech. Looking at one- and two-letter words first gives us a solid starting point, like placing all the corner and edge pieces of a puzzle first. By focusing on these high-probability guesses, we can often crack a significant portion of the code quickly. Even though there are far more 3-letter words than 1- or 2-letter words, we can apply the same strategy. This approach is technically called frequency analysis. Frequency analysis is a code-breaking technique that examines how often certain patterns appear in a coded message. By comparing these patterns to their typical frequency in everyday language, we can make smart guesses about what the coded elements might represent. Finally, we can get a small advantage if we find symbols that appear repeatedly at the beginning and end of words. The most common word starters are T, A, I, and S. The most common word enders are E, S, D, and T. If you find a repeating 3-letter ending, chances are it's ing. This usually means you've found a verb. Finally, look for apostrophes. If there's a single symbol after an apostrophe, it's likely a T or S, or less likely D, M, or RE. Apostrophes signal contractions or possessives and give a strong context clue for the word. Apostrophe T is always preceded by N. Apostrophe M is always preceded by I. If you're confident the word ends in apostrophe RE, then the word's likely we're, you're, there, or therer. Otherwise, here are some common words to try. Now, you can pause here and check this list out if you want, or you can download this one-page reference I wrote for you when tackling your own cryptograms. The next step in cryptanalysis is to do a more detailed frequency analysis on individual symbols. This step works on any simple substitution cipher. For aristocrats, a really powerful combo is to use frequency analysis with the word patterns we've already talked about. Start by counting how often each symbol appears. Certain letters show up more frequently than others. In English, E is the most common letter, followed by T, A, and O. By comparing the frequency of symbols in your encrypted text to these known patterns, you can make educated guesses about what each symbol represents. Now, this assumes that the message follows the same patterns as other English writings, so just remember letter frequency charts are helpful, but short messages, names, or unusual writing styles can throw the usual rankings off. Once you've checked single letter frequency, level up by looking for repeating pairs and triples of symbols, called bigrams and trigrams. In English, certain letter pairs show up more frequently, like TH, HE, IN, ER, and certain 3-letter chunks pop up over and over, THA, ENT, ING. Bigrams and trigrams are even more powerful than single-letter frequency analysis, and even work on complex substitution ciphers. Double symbols also offer a strategic advantage. The English language loves doubles like LL, EE, SS, and OO, and spotting one can instantly lock in a couple letters. Now, counting symbols can be tedious, but you don't have to do this boring stuff yourself. Let GlyphGrid handle the tedious part of counting symbols by clicking the Analysis button. This is where the real fun begins. By combining computer power with your own brain, you get the best of both worlds. The machine crunches the numbers, freeing you up to spot patterns and play detective. This way, you're not giving up control to the computer entirely, but you're also not stuck doing mind-numbing calculations. It's the perfect mix. When you've got a partially solved cryptogram, you're in the home stretch. This is like having a puzzle's corners, edges, and several parts of the middle filled in. And you're sprinting to the finish line. It's now time for some educated guesswork. The puzzle-solving sprint is where your code-breaking skills really shine. As you dive into this final phase, you're like a word detective piecing together clues, and you'll spot familiar patterns, fill in gaps with educated guesses, and use context to your advantage. Here are some final tips. Every word needs vowels. Look for words with lots of consonants and see if you can guess a good vowel pairing. In English, H often follows T, S, W, or C. Here are some common endings. Here are some common prefixes. Here are some common word starter combos. Rethink impossible combinations like QQ, VV, and certain patterns that just don't happen in English. Search your key for unassigned letters. If you're confident in your solution to this point, these are what you have left to work with to fill in the gaps. Don't be afraid to try different letters. Sometimes a wrong guess leads to the right answer. Now, as you decode more of the message, you'll build momentum, with each solved letter bringing you closer to cracking the entire code. During the puzzle-solving sprint phase, you'll start recognizing common phrases, and you'll be able to guess entire words or sentences, and your brain catches fire with ideas. It's an exhilarating process where persistence pays off, and suddenly those mysterious symbols transform into a secret message right before your eyes. This is the moment when all your hard work comes together and you experience that thrilling eureka sensation that makes cryptography so addictive. Now, before you call it solved, do a quick final check. Read the whole decrypted message like normal English. Scan for any leftover unmapped symbols. Look for any letters you might have accidentally assigned twice. Check that it flows or is a common quote or a common phrase. If the message is longer than 28 symbols and it makes sense, you've almost certainly solved it correctly. When the message reads smoothly and your key has no contradictions, you're done. If you feel like this tutorial was too much to absorb in one go, rewatch it. Also, remember that you can download and print my one-page reference for solving your own cryptograms. And that's all there is to it. Keep practicing these principles, and before you know it, you'll be decoding messages like a pro. All right, moment of truth time. Remember those rankings I set up? Well, let's see if I earn my cipher stripes or if I'm eating humble pie. Drum roll, please. Here is my time, officially earning my code breaking badge. I honestly cannot believe I was able to crack it that fast. It kind of blows my mind how easy it was to apply the strategies we talked about. And I promise you, if I can do it that fast, you can too. Here's what the message turned out to be. I won't explain it now. For now, I'll let you watch Gravity Falls and dig into the ciphers they have in the episodes and books yourself. Congratulations! You just learned how to decode cryptograms step by step. No fancy tech, just pattern recognition skills and a little patience. And if you want to become the person everyone turns to when the puzzles get hard, you're one step closer. And here's the thing, you just learned a real skill. This isn't just for TV show Easter eggs. Cryptography is everywhere. In history, in games, in ARGs, in geocaching, and now you know how to approach it. So if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe, drop a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next code breaking challenge. And if you want the tools I used, like GlyphGrid, check out my website and hop into the Discord to join the Clue community. Also, if there's a cipher or puzzle type you want next, tell me in the comments. If enough of you ask, I'll make a video on it, or even build a tool for it. Until next time, stay curious, stay relentless, and keep decoding.